An Israeli airstrike. You know, I've been talking about the money aspect of it, but I've been talking a lot about where our government dollars and our funding, which is basically your tax dollars, are going, as well as what interests do we have as a nation, as citizens, as the United States of America, in meddling with foreign affairs. Well, there's got to be something profitable that comes along with it. But before we get into anything as far as related to the money or what profit we make from supporting or participating in whatever foreign wars or affairs that we got going on, I need to inform you guys on what's going on out in these streets. Israeli airstrikes kill at least, if not more than 40. And then they asked the Biden administration if they were familiar with anything that was going on with these airstrikes, or if it was targeted based off of what the United States of America was doing in order to participate in what was going on in foreign affairs. Take a look, y'all. Hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel.
A deadly Israeli airstrike in Rafah drawing international condemnation this morning. At least 40 people were killed, dozens injured at a tent camp Sunday night where displaced civilians were sheltering in a designated safe zone. Israel says it was targeting Hamas commanders. Qatar calling the attack a dangerous breach of international laws that could complicate ongoing mediation efforts for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. NBC's Raf Sanchez has more from Israel. Raf.
Jose, after a weekend of intense talks involving the CIA director, an Israeli official tells NBC News they believe ceasefire negotiations may restart as early as this week. But for now, the fighting rages on in Gaza. That is despite an order from the UN's highest court for Israel to immediately halt its military offensive in the south of the Strip. And last night, a new and deadly strike in the city of Rafah.
Overnight, fire and horror in Rafah. An Israeli airstrike at a camp for displaced civilians, setting tents and cars aflame. Fire crews in Hamas-run Gaza say at least 40 people were killed, many of them women and children. One of the deadliest bombings in Rafah of the entire war. The Red Crescent says it happened in a designated safe zone. But Israel says the strike killed 2 senior Hamas commanders responsible for attacks in the occupied West Bank, adding it is aware of reports indicating that as a result of the strike and fire that was ignited, several civilians in the area were harmed.
We will never, as long as humans occupy this earth, we will always figure out a way to divide ourselves against each other. We will always be warring for more land, more money, more oil, more occupation of a particular territory. We always going to be aligning against each other and for each other. And as long as we on this earth, we are always going to be destroying each other. There will never, ever, ever, ever be 100% peace anywhere, anytime, because people continue to divide themselves against each other. I mean, I just can't imagine just killing a bunch of women and children, airstrikes and all of that stuff, man. It's crazy, man. And all for what?
The incident is under review.
Sitting is open.
The UN's highest court has ordered Israel to halt the Rafah offensive, but has no power to enforce the ruling. And Israel giving no sign it will comply, saying hostages are being held in Rafah.
We will not stop fighting for their freedom.
On Sunday, Hamas fired rockets towards central Israel for the first time in 4 months. With sirens blaring in Tel Aviv, the IDF says the rockets came from Rafah. Meanwhile, further up the coast, new questions about the safety of U.S. service personnel after 4 small army boats broke their moorings in heavy seas, washing up in Israel and Gaza. The ships were delivering aid through an American-built temporary pier. U.S. Central Command saying no injuries have been reported and the pier remains fully functional. But 3 U.S. personnel did suffer non-combat injuries last week, the Pentagon says. 1 seriously wounded.
Jose, you may be able to hear the wind just howling here in southern Israel. That's what caused those small boats to bust out of their mooring. And if you look behind me, you can actually see this is one of the military vessels that got beached here in Israel. There's 2 more about 20 miles down the coast in Gaza. And way off
That
in the
water look
distance,
crazy.
a larger military ship that's involved in the recovery effort here. Now, U.S. Central Command was able to get one of these boats off the beach here earlier, and they're hoping to get this one free sometime today.
Let me give you a further update on what's going on over there, because they saying that it's new airstrikes that just started to happen this morning, to be honest with you. That was what was reported just over an hour ago.
This morning, with Israeli forces pushing to the heart of Rafah and growing numbers of Palestinian civilians killed, the White House facing questions on President Biden's red line and if Israel crossed it. Especially after that strike over the weekend, killing dozens in a firestorm at a camp in Rafah.
We don't want to see a major ground operation. We haven't seen that at this point.
How many more charred corpses does he have to see before the president considers a change in policy?
We don't want to see a single more innocent life taken, and I kind of take...
We don't want to see a single more innocent life taken. That's not even a proper sentence, man. What the hell is happening inside of our White House?
a little offense at the question. No civilian casualties is the right number of civilian casualties.
But more civilian...
Do you see the amount of gaslighting that's happening right here? He said, how many more charred bodies do you need to see before President Biden actually changes his stance or, makes some adjustments to whatever it is that he's doing or what he's supporting? And this was his answer. Well, 0. We don't want to see any more bodies, but he didn't actually answer the question. I hate politicians, bro.
Does he have to see before the president considers a change in policy?
We don't want to see a single more innocent life taken, and I kind of take a little offense at the question. No civilian casualties is the right number of civilian casualties.
But more civilian casualties yesterday after a new strike on this tent encampment killed at least 21 people, according to the emergency services in Hamas-run Gaza. Most of them women and children. The IDF denies the tents were in a safe zone. Israel also releasing an initial investigation into the weekend attack, which has drawn international criticism. The IDF says it used small bombs to target 2 Hamas commanders, but that a secondary explosion started the enormous fire.
Our munition alone could not have ignited a fire of this size.
The IDF says hidden Hamas weapons might have caused the blast, but offered no firm evidence. An Israeli official earlier said a gas tank could have sparked the flames. The Pentagon also confirming...
Let me go over to this news briefing. I want to see a little bit of what he has to say, and then we're going to start getting to the money and getting to other things.
Thanks, Admiral. Can you explain how the strike in Rafah does not cross the lines that the president has set and many of you have repeated, that the operations be targeted and limited?
We still don't believe that a major ground operation in Rafah is warranted. We still don't want to see the Israelis, as we say, smash into Rafah with large units over large pieces of territory. We still believe that, and we haven't seen that at this point. But we're going to be watching this, of course, very, very closely. I want to just end this answer by making it very clear that regardless, every single loss of innocent life is tragic, and every single loss of innocent life should be prevented as much as possible.
Politicians are masters, bro. Like speakers and politicians, they are masters in not actually answering a question and just giving you a whole bunch of fluff, and then you leave out more confused than when you came in, bro.
Has the president seen the images?
I don't know. I can't speak to what
he's seen the images.
He's been kept apprised throughout the weekend on this.
So you're saying the tent encampment that was first struck is considered a densely populated area?
The whole area of Rafah, Ed, is densely populated. Now, there has been
they know these guys
a
by
million
name,
or
too.
so who have evacuated Rafah proper, but it's not like they're going all that far away. The whole area is densely populated.
So how does this not violate the red line that the president laid out?
As I said, we don't want to see a major ground operation. We haven't seen that at this point.
How many more charred corpses does he have to see before the president considers a change in policy?
We don't want to see a single more innocent life taken, and I kind of take a little offense at the question. No civilian casualties is the right number.
Translation, stop asking me these pressing questions because I'm taking a little bit more of an offense. And me and you used to be cool, Ed. We got a relationship. I know you got to do your job, but I don't want you asking too many more pressing questions. Translation, I'm a little offended, meaning I want you to shut the hell up. You got all your questions out. Let's stop asking these deep dive questions. That's forcing me to be a little bit more uncomfortable. All right, Ed?
Of civilian casualties. And this is not something that we've turned a blind eye to, nor has it been something we've ignored or neglected to raise with our Israeli counterparts, including, Ed, this weekend.
See how you keep calling him his name? You letting him know, Ed, including Ed, this weekend, I'm letting you know again.
Result of this particular strike. Now, they're investigating it, so let's let them investigate it and see what they come up with.
But the president doesn't have like a personal limit to this?
The president has been very clear and very direct about what our expectations are for Israeli operations in Rafah specifically, but in Gaza writ large. We don't support, we won't support a major ground operation in Rafah, and we've, again, been very consistent on that. And the president said that should that occur, then it might make him have to make different decisions in terms of support. We haven't seen that happen at this point.
Why not have him come out and say that?
Ed.
The president has been speaking to leaders throughout the region on a regular basis. He has been addressing you guys in various fora. You've got plenty of opportunities to talk to the president, including, I might add, in a press conference last week.
You've said now that you don't think a major...
Ed. You about to lose your credentials. You about to lose your ability to be able to ask the first question, Ed. We don't like that. We don't like what you got going on out in these streets, Ed.